Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Coach Anthony coming to you from Facilitate the Process. And what we wanted to do today was pretty much talk about different things dealing with self-doubt. And this is actually couldn't have been any more perfect, given that in college basketball right now with the way that the transfer portal was going, right? Uh, some will say it's definitely about money, where you can make more money than you can in the college ranks versus in some of the pro ranks, especially on the women's side, right? There's a lot more money that can be made with those NIL deals, right? But some of these things can potentially come from self doubt and whether you believe what you can do at a particular place. There are a lot of things with this where you don't know unless you're there. Um, so everybody has an opinion, such as when people are at schools, 3 or 4 different schools in 3 or 4 years, right? But you really only truly know if you're really there. So everybody will have an opinion. Not many of us really like the way that the things are going, but it's almost one of those is what it is type of deals where those situations are just going to happen and it's going to be there, and there's really nothing we can do about it. So let's get into this and let's talk about 4 ways that you can deal with self doubt. So everyone experiences self doubt from time to time, and as we want to really push this towards usually in most cases athletics, especially with our student athletes, right? It's just a part of life, right? We talk about these kind of things, or sometimes we don't talk about it, and this is why sometimes they may not be always prepared mentally, right? Maybe from a physical standpoint, they're great physical specimens and they have this great athletic ability and they're great students, right? That can happen. It can be that way. But self-doubt creeps in sometimes when the newest kid on the block comes and then they don't know whether they want to stay or not. So that self-doubt kicks in and sometimes that leaps into the transfer portal, right? That will leap them there because they don't know. Maybe they're now on the outs with the coach or whatever, right? It is possible. But we're talking about when they're experiencing the self-doubt about how they are handling it. Are they handling it the right way? I mean, it's crazy when we talk about a lot of these things. We talk about how they're not doing it the way we would do it or the way that we would suggest that they do it, right? And that's not always going to be, I guess you could say it's not going to always be prudent. I mean, we can say what we want to say, but at the end of the day, they're the ones, the student athletes are the ones that are dealing with it. Not even really worried about the coaches because the coaches can pretty much do whatever they want, right? Um, so not really going to worry about that too much, but we want to work on them overcoming it and getting back to that road of success. And sometimes that road of success tends to have them going in another direction, which some of us will not agree with. But so we want you to just stay with us here so you can see the additional ways that self doubt, how to deal with the self doubt when things start to become negative. All right. Resolve not to compare yourself with others. This is what happens when we talk about the transfer portal and new folks coming in. Automatically, let's be real about it. You have to be ready. Somebody's coming in to take your spot, or they say are attempting to, right? So often thoughts of self-doubt come when you compare yourself to someone else. Resolve in advance not to let this happen. We have to be real about it. Um, we're going to say some things that a lot of people don't want to talk about. They don't say it. Maybe it's an image conscious thing, but are we really preparing the student athletes before they get to college? You're probably going to say you are. And if you are doing that, great. We definitely applaud you. And that's why we say here at Facilitate the Process, we don't worry about trusting the process, because if someone's not teaching it and talking about it and getting that feedback in reference to it, how are we preparing these student athletes? This is what we do here. We have a platform that helps with athletic recruiting, but we also provide these different avenues, such as what we're doing today when we're talking about self-doubt. are they learning these things in high school before they get to college, before they have to really make that decision? So that when they get to college, they know about these things already and they know how to work on it. And if they just choose to do what they do it full well knowing that they're in touch with who they are. And they thought about it and they just did it instead of maybe having knee-jerk reactions. So some of this is a mental health awareness type of a deal, right? A lot of people don't want to talk about it, but it is. It doesn't matter if you're a male or female. It doesn't matter your race, ethnicity, none of that. All right. So, and when it does, which it probably will at some point, as we just said, remind yourself that you aren't the other person. They have a journey completely different from your own. Look at how far you've come on your journey. Your journey is yours and yours alone. I mean, it really speaks volumes. No two athletes are really alike. They may have similar attributes, but there's going to be something in there where the athlete themselves is really going to be the athlete themselves is really going to be different than, excuse me, try to get this back up here. All right, a little technical difficulties. This doesn't want to work with me here. Let me go ahead and get this out of the way. All right, so their journey, not yours. You're not them, and they're not you. So remember that part. Don't compare yourself. If you want to go to another school and and kind of making this about the transfer portal in a way because it's that time of year. So when you're watching this, this is actually during the transfer portal in April of 2025, and it's getting larger. That portal is getting larger. Before you make a decision on certain things, don't compare yourself. Think about all the things that you can do. There's a reason why you want to go, you go. But don't compare yourself. If you're better, you're better. It is what it is. You know? Number two, remember the past is the past. Many people experience self-doubt when thinking about the past. Whenever the past comes up in your mind, remind yourself that it is over and done with. If you dwell on the past, it will make self-doubt even worse. This is sort of like when you are doing running a play, right? Um, when the play's over, right? And it usually works. That's usually how it works. When the play is over, the play is over. Unfortunately, sometimes maybe a coach or someone is really harping on it the rest of the way, and you're trying to get rid of it. You're trying to, as they used to say, flush it, right? You're trying to flush it, but sometimes you just can't. It could be something in the past, as far as within your life or wherever you've been at in life, and it's something that's really getting to you and really getting you down. And you might it might stick with you for a while. And to be honest, that's really some people may not agree, but that's actually life. Life throws you get a lot of curveballs and challenges thrown at you, and it's about how you deal with them. Um, some will say if you handle a certain way, you're weak, but I don't think you should look at it like that. Don't dwell on it. Learn from it. Because if you continue to think about it, it's going to start to get worse and you'll think down on yourself. And you shouldn't have to. Shouldn't even do that. So look towards the future and all the plans that you have instead. Because there are great things out there for you. As a coach, as a parent, we believe that you have some great things that you're looking forward to do. But how do you do them if you stop yourself? Because look at it this way. Don't be selfish. Whatever you have to give, there's another student athlete watching you the same way you were watching a student athlete on TV and you said, hey, I want that opportunity. So you're there to also bring up the next group of people because they're watching you. So don't dwell on the past. Think about all the great things you're going to be doing, not only for yourself, but for someone else who's going to be watching you do some of the things, same things that you watch someone else. And as it says here, it can also help to list all the things that you are grateful for in the present because you can come up with something. If not, just think a little bit harder. Take a little time to yourself and write them down. There's something. Come up with one, then come up with two. But there's something there. You may have helped someone along the way, but think about the future. You'll be helping yourself and someone else. Remind yourself that failures are lessons. This is huge. Everyone has failed at some point, and this is how you learn. This is how you learn. As they say in business, all it takes is one yes. You can have 99 failures. All it takes is one yes for you to make it big. Everyone will have failures at some point in their life. Unfortunately, as a student athlete, we get them at multiple points during games, right? Where we feel like we have multiple failures. And of course, this is inevitable. When you experience a failure, you will likely have some thoughts of self-doubt. Happens. It doesn't matter what age you are going to have those thoughts of self-doubt. It just happens, right? But it's how you deal with it. So don't let these get you down because people and here's the thing, the self-doubt is not only going to get you down, it's the people who sometimes they won't let you forget that you failed. And that's the part that it's not to say you got to necessarily get rid of those people, right? But your circle should be one of support. Now, it's of support. That doesn't mean that everybody's going to agree with you every time something goes a certain way, because you need somebody to be that accountability partner that tells you, hey, you messed up, or however y'all speak to each other, you messed up. And hopefully they have a solution as well, right? So instead of focusing on that negative, resolve to focus on the positive. Sometimes that positive is just that friend coming to you and saying, hey, yeah, I made that same mistake before too, and this is how I dealt with it. Doesn't mean you're going to do it the same way, but at least you can feel a little bit better knowing I'm not the only one who's ever made this mistake. And in most cases, when you fail, you're going to know you aren't the only one that has failed. Your teammates have failed before too. They probably won't tell you when they failed before, right? But if you're all, I want to say, honest with each other, you're going to talk about those kind of things. Hopefully, your coaches are even telling you about their failures. It could be anything in life. We go through a lot. So don't get it twisted. Don't think that every time that you have a failure that you can't get back up. All right. You always got to get back up. Or at least you hopefully have a good friend there that's going to pull you up some kind of way. So run through the lessons that you have learned to feel confident you won't make the same mistake again. It's always good to make new mistakes, right? Because when you make new mistakes, you grow at some point, even though you don't want to make any mistakes, right? Life is full of mistakes. You're going to fail. When you get older, your kids are going to fail, right? But it's all about, and even as a parent, you will have some failures, but it's all about how y'all work that out. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons you can ever learn right here, as far as reminding yourself that the failures are lessons. And I'm gonna tell you, life, what does they say? Experience is one of the best teachers. You have to experience it to learn from it. Support system. Kind of already stole the show on that one. I just talked about how having a good friend or a good circle can really, really take care of you. So yes, you have to take care of yourself, right? But have a support system. There's nothing worse than experiencing self-doubts and feeling alone simultaneously. I can personally tell you it's one of the worst feelings in the world, to be down on yourself and not have anyone there that you can talk to. It's a pretty bad feeling. And that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It just means at that time you don't have that good circle, or you might not really, if you're an introvert. I'm an introvert. So when you don't really talk to a lot of people, or your circle is so small, it can come back to haunt you, because the smaller your circle sometimes, They might be busy, but there's always usually one person in that circle, no matter what. You can call them at midnight, you can call them at 1 a.m., and you got an issue and they're ready to talk to you, right? Hopefully, you don't want to have that all the time, but at least you'll have that person there. So you should do everything in your power to have a support system in place when these doubts start to creep in. And it can happen when you least expect it. It could be after a test, or you could be worried about something at school. It could be because of a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or it could just be anything. It doesn't have to just be just about sports. But as I said, we relate to sports because of the business that we're in. And as I said, with Facilitate the Process, it's it's really about that whole student athlete. So it's not just about the athletic portion. So we want to make sure that we get that part across, because you got to be ready for college. You know, you're going to say you're ready and you get there and you probably still won't be ready. But guess what? You're going to learn. You're going to learn from the surroundings and you're going to gain experience and you're going to fail, right? It's going to happen. The support system doesn't really have to be physical. As you heard, it could just be a simple phone call or something. And, like it says here, it could be a forum or an online support group. Either way, it should be someone you trust to talk to when the going gets rough. They can help remind you of what an amazing person you are and the journey you've embarked on to get where you are. Because none of us gets here on our own, right? It's a heck of a journey, right? And we've had help. Whether you want to admit it or not, we've had help. It could be a grade school teacher. It could be a local, someone who works at the local rec, a youth coach, a aunt, a uncle, mom, dad, grandma, some family member, some kind of way helped us along this journey. Think about the teammates that we have been around. All of those things are, those folks are a part of that journey, um, and everything that you've done. So don't get too down on yourself. You've done some things. You just haven't cataloged them all, right? So what I would say do is really start looking at those type of things. Catalog them. People do journal writing. They now a lot of folks are using their phones and putting notes and stuff in the phones. Do it that way. I think it'll help you out. When in doubt, just get a coloring book and just start coloring. Like that might help you too, right? So you can kind of relax a little bit. A lot of this, as we say, it's some mental health things and part of that mental health awareness that a lot of folks don't talk about. But we're going to talk about it. This is what we do. We are about the total student athlete, right? So overall, battling self-doubt when it pops up is never easy. I think I've probably made that extremely clear. It's not easy. It's not a good subject to talk about. A lot of people don't like to ask for help. And sometimes it could take people quite a few years to actually realize when they actually need help. And that's tough. It's tough for a lot of folks, really tough for a lot of grown folks, right? Because we're set in our ways. Younger folks, yeah, sometimes they shrug stuff off a little bit better than we do. I don't know. They just, you guys just don't worry about it, right? Us older folks, we just set in our ways and we're not trying to hear too much, right? So if you follow the 4 suggestions on this list, you will hopefully you'll find yourself well equipped to deal with the self-doubt when it does arise. And I'm sorry, I'm disclaimer. We're not doctors. This is all for information and educational purposes, but you will hopefully find yourself well equipped to deal with self-doubt when it arises, and you'll know it. So before you know it, you'll be back on your way to achieving your dreams. And as your confident and amazing self. So when we think about self-doubt and we think about how it I don't know how it can actually change your life and really put you in a I guess you could say it really puts you in a bad spot, and it makes you be somebody different. It's potentially someone who you don't want to be, right? And of course, keywords, self, but you have to have help. You have to have help to get through um, a lot of these various things that are going on. So I would say definitely rely on your coaches, rely on your parents, or your guardian, whoever. Rely on find someone that you can rely on to help you get through these things. And if you need assistance, you can always contact us. If you go to our page, you can go ahead and email us. But also at the end of the day, when we talk about the athletic portion, as we said, we facilitate companies facilitate the process, and we believe in facilitating the process because how can you trust it if no one's ever taught you how to deal with it and how to go through it and how to navigate it? So that's what we're here to do. We're going to navigate for you as a student. We're going to navigate for you as an athlete. Come together, student athlete. Too easy. Maybe kind of corny, but it's too easy. That's why it's a student athlete. You're a student first, athlete second, but we believe in the whole person. And we believe that if you are out there and you're trying to beat that transfer portal, we're going to we're going to help you to give a coach a well-rounded picture of who you are and what you are about. So hopefully you're able to get rid of some of this self-doubt that you've probably gained through high school, middle school, whatever, and help you to deal with it and get through this. All right, because you're here to do great things. You just have to keep telling yourself that, and through affirmations. Let no one take away your joy. You have control of this, and your journey is yours.